call them holiday elves helping others, but many call them heroes.
You might feel like you need to hit the gym today after feasting yesterday, or not.
No, maybe not.
This is Angeline Mock, the polished, camera-ready news anchor everyone thought they knew until she snapped and brutally killed her own mother. Police found 80-year-old Anita Avers lying unresponsive in her bed, stabbed over and over again in a frenzied attack. It was the kind of scene that makes even seasoned officers freeze for a moment.
Officers went inside the residence, found an 81-year-old elderly female suffering from multiple stab wounds.
But what could have pushed Angie to do something this dark? And were the red flags there all along? As investigators started peeling back the layers of her life, they uncovered the story of a woman spiraling for years and a family trying and ultimately failing to get ahead of the storm that was coming. Let's get into it. In her old news clips, Angeline Mock looked like the kind of person you trusted to wake you up in the morning. Bright smile, sleek hair, calm voice, total morning anchor energy. She looked put together, grounded, the type who could handle anything thrown her way.
Morning to you. We made it to Tuesday, November 26th. Glad to have you with us.
Christmas was good, wasn't it?
Oh, it was wonderful. Family was in town.
Good.
They're leaving today. I don't know where my tissues are.
But on Halloween morning in 2025, that version of her was gone.
A former news anchor finds herself in the news this morning after she was charged with the murder of her mother.
A neighbor said she and her boyfriend were just driving down the street when Angie suddenly appeared, running straight toward their car. Not casually running, terrified. She was shaking, out of breath, and completely covered in blood. She begged them to call 911, grabbed their phone, and ran back into the house like something or someone was still after her. The neighbor tried asking if she was okay, but Angie couldn't get out a single clear word.
There was a woman who came and approached our vehicle with blood, like her hands were filled, her body was filled with blood, asking to call 911.
Moments later, the 911 call came in. According to police, Angie said the line that made everyone freeze.
I thought you had to stab the mother to save herself.
Dispatch audio captured the urgency as officers relayed the situation across units.
This morning at 7:51 hours, officers responded to a stabbing call in the 1500 block of East Crowley.
Officers rushed to the scene, pulling up around 7:51 a.m. They found Angie outside with fresh cuts on her hands, and the second they stepped inside, they knew it was bad.
And the polygraph is about 5 to 6 knives, and that polygraph is currently with her mom. She's also injured as well. No other weapons in the home.
A bloody cell phone sat on the kitchen sink. A clean kitchen knife lay on the floor, dropped like someone panicked mid-movement. In the living room, officers found a butcher knife with blood on it and another phone abandoned on the coffee table. But the bedroom was the real nightmare. Inside, 80-year-old Anita Avers lay motionless on her bed with multiple stab wounds to her face, head, and torso. And right next to her on a pillow was a lineup of kitchen knives and a cheese grater, arranged almost too neatly, like someone had set the scene after the violence was over. Blood marked every corner of the room, but the bed held the worst of it.
Officers went inside the residence, found an 81-year-old elderly female suffering from multiple stab wounds.
Both women were rushed to the hospital. While doctors treated Angie's cuts, they fought to save Anita's life, but it was too late. Anita was pronounced dead 2 hours later.
In a South Wichita home, police found Mock outside with cuts on her hands and Avers unresponsive in bed with multiple stab wounds. She later died at the hospital. The affidavit says investigators found several knives and a cheese grater laid out on a pillow next to Avers, all covered in blood.
And just like that, the trusted news anchor everyone once welcomed into their living rooms had become the story no one could wrap their heads around. But the truth was, the shock wasn't over, not even close, because everything that came next made the case even darker. Now, detectives were trying to make sense of how everything spiraled this far out of control. What could have pushed Angie, the same woman who once sat under studio lights delivering calm, polished morning headlines, to turn so violently on her own mother? Nothing about it matched the version of her people thought they knew. Everyone detectives interviewed said the same thing. Yes, Angie and Anita had their typical mother-daughter disagreements, but overall, they were close. Throughout Angie's 12-year career on television, from her start as a small-market sports reporter all the way to her role as a morning anchor in St. Louis, Anita was always right there. She was the supportive mom standing in the front row, cheering her on through every move, every promotion, every city.
I remember my mom would put it in one of these cans like you suggested and just put it and it would cool and then she'd throw it away. Exactly.
Even after Angie left the news world in 2015 and transitioned into software sales and later data management, her mother never stopped being her biggest supporter. But somewhere in those quieter, off-camera years, something inside Angie began to shift, and the people who knew her best had watched that change creep in slowly. When detectives finally sat her down and asked what happened that morning, her story immediately started to unravel. In the first version, Angie said she had gone to her mother's room to talk and found Anita sharpening knives on the bed. She claimed Anita suddenly charged at her, said strange, unsettling things. Angie said she pushed her back, and when her mother kept coming toward her, she had no choice but to defend herself.
Investigators say Mock told them her mother was sharpening knives that morning and came after her, but she pushed her away. The affidavit says her story then shifted, saying she believed her mother was jealous of her job interview with a local news station and didn't want her to get the job.
Angie told detectives, "I had to kill her, she wasn't going to stop." The details shifted every time she opened her mouth. First, she stabbed her mom. Then her mom stabbed her first. Then both. Then neither. Detectives couldn't tell where the truth ended and the confusion began. And then things got even stranger. In the interrogation room, Angie started mumbling to herself, whispering to people who weren't there. She said her mother wasn't really her mother anymore, that a demon had taken over and she needed to kill it to get her real mom back. That was the moment detectives felt the shift. This didn't sound like a heated fight that spiraled out of control. It sounded like a complete psychological break that had turned deadly.
The document states that while in a police interview room, Mock was talking to herself and believed her mother was the devil. She said, quote, "I'd kill that bee to have my mom back any day. I don't even know who she is anymore. I know, I believe she's the devil."
And the most unsettling part, there had been warning signs long before Halloween morning. As detectives kept digging, they started to realize this wasn't some sudden explosion out of nowhere. There had been red flags. They'd flare up just long enough to scare someone, then fade again, almost like the storm inside Angie kept resetting itself.
Newly released affidavit paints a troubling picture of 48-year-old Angelyn Mock, a former St. Louis TV news anchor accused of killing her mother, 80-year-old Anita Avers, on Halloween.
According to her stepfather, Barry, the problems had started long before Halloween 2025. He told detectives that a few years earlier, Angie went through what he described as an explosive situation involving alcohol. Whatever happened, it was bad enough that she lost her job and moved back home. And Anita, being both a therapist and a mother, threw everything she had into helping her daughter stabilize. She pushed Angie toward treatment, and eventually doctors diagnosed her first with bipolar disorder, then later updated it to schizoaffective disorder. She was prescribed medication.
Mock's stepfather told police Mock had been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which combines symptoms of schizophrenia with symptoms of a mood disorder, like bipolar disorder, which he says she had been previously diagnosed with. He says she suffered delusions and depression.
And here's what really bothered detectives. The signs leading up to the killing weren't subtle. Barry said Angie had a major outburst a few months earlier that was so intense, she ended up hospitalized for nearly 2 weeks. Then, just weeks before the attack, another blow-up happened, all during a simple family card game. Angie started making disturbing statements like, "They're all robots, and they're not real people."
During one of those outbursts, the affidavit says police were called and Mock was held for psychiatric reasons for about 2 weeks, which was just weeks prior to the incident on Halloween.
Yet despite all of this, Barry insisted he never thought she was dangerous. He never felt threatened. So once detectives heard Angie's shifting stories and watched her describe her mother as a demon, everything finally clicked. All the red flags lined up in a straight line. This was the final breaking point of a long, complicated mental decline, one that led to the unthinkable. Angie was charged with first-degree murder. During her first court hearing, prosecutors were direct. They argued that Angie acted unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation. And that word, premeditation, told everyone exactly how seriously they were taking this. It meant they believed she made a conscious decision to kill her mother.
It means that they thought that she planned it, she intended it. This wasn't a felony murder where she intended to hurt her and she accidentally died, or she heard that she did something terrible and just snapped and this was an act of passion. This was, full on. They're going for the maximum charge and probably the maximum sentence they can get.
But something that happened in the courtroom made the whole situation even more unsettling. Cameras caught Angie smiling, and it wasn't a nervous, confused smile. It was A smile, plain and simple. That single moment made people question everything. Did she not grasp the seriousness of what she'd done, or did she genuinely not care? The judge didn't waste time. Angie's bond was set at $1 million, and she was ordered to undergo a full competency and mental health evaluation. And this time, as she was leaving the courtroom, something shifted. That confident smile faded. Her face tightened. You could actually see her trying to hold back tears, like the reality of what she was facing had finally caught up to her. Meanwhile, the community was shaken. Anita wasn't just another name in a headline. She was a therapist, someone people trusted with their most personal, painful moments. Her clients and colleagues struggled to process how a woman known for calming storms in other people's lives could end up losing her own life in such a violent way, and at the hands of the daughter she'd supported for years.
It was so shocking because, I worried about having this connection with her and her passing from being 80. I never expected to hear something like that, especially because no one deserves that ever. At the same time, it was just so shocking because of who she was and because of how she was as a human.
She was just very warm, very loving, and had a way of just making you feel compassionate towards yourself.
And the heartbreaking part? This wasn't an isolated scenario. Cases like this happen far more often than people realize. Mothers trying desperately to help a struggling daughter, only to end up paying the ultimate price. Just look at the Carly Gregg case. Carly's mother had uncovered her secret life: burner phones, THC vapes, cheating at school, even self-harm by cutting. She stepped in, trying to stabilize her daughter's world and protect her. She had no idea her attempt to intervene would cost her her life. The kitchen camera footage still sends chills down people's spines. It shows Carly walking past the lens with a gun hidden behind her back, heading toward her mom's bedroom with an almost casual calmness. Seconds later, 3 gunshots echo through the house, followed by her mother Ashley's screams. But what Carly did after is what disturbed investigators the most. She didn't panic. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She sat in the kitchen, texting on her phone, her 2 dogs at her feet, waiting for her stepdad so she could finish what she started. She's now serving a life sentence. And when you place Carly's case beside Angie's, the pattern jumps out. Families drowning under untreated mental illness, warning signs ignored or misunderstood, danger building slowly until it finally erupts. These aren't just tragedies, they're alarms, ones we keep hitting snooze on. And the scary part is, you never really know if the person you're trying so hard to save is silently planning something you could never see coming.